Okay, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Tony Carrasco. I'm a client partner here with Core ALM. Today's presentation on Test Suite Change Impact Analysis for Solution Manager 7.2 is going to be brought to us by Larry Wilson, Core ALM's SAP testing lead practice. And with that being said, we're going to kind of go through our agenda today and let you know what we're going to cover, and then I'll go ahead and pass it over to Larry, and he'll walk us through and at the end provide a live demonstration for us. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at today's agenda. Today's agenda, just a quick intro. If you've joined our webinars in the past, we do a quick intro to Core ALM, let you know who and what we are. Obviously, we want to cover Solution Manager 7.2 with its correlation with Test Suite. And then Larry will go ahead and jump in and cover Test Suite, cover the overview and scope of it, and also cover Scope and Effort Analyzer and Business Process Change Analyzer. Jump into a demo, give you the value propositions behind today's webinar, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Now, the Q&A is an ongoing Q&A. So if any question pops up during the webinar, please submit it. There's a box there at the bottom. Go ahead and submit your questions as needed. It's very much an interactive webinar. We'll be conducting poll questions throughout the webinar. And please take the time. We'll give you about 30 seconds or so. Take the time to answer those questions. It allows us to better know our audience and better service the industry. Obviously, this is Session 2 of a 3-part webinar series regarding Test Suite. Our first one was at a high-level overview. This one is more in-depth with the demo. And then our next one, Test Automation, which is scheduled for 4/14. Again, we'll also include a on-live demo as well. A little bit about Core ALM. We're a dedicated team of experts focused on the digital transformation lifecycle. We specialize in lifecycle management. And with that, our foundations of Solution Manager and HANA, as well as DevOps. We have over 50 years of experience in this field, SAP knowledge leaders. And basically what that means is you have people on this side of the table that know SAP, know business processes, and can assist your companies getting to that next level. Some of the services that Core ALM offers, obviously testing is one of them. Solution Manager upgrades, HANA conversions, change and release management. We did a series on Charm back in December, I believe it was. LVM, which is Llama, and also your transformation over to the cloud. So if you're thinking about moving over to the cloud, whether it be via HANA or just on Solution Manager, we can also assist with that. Some of the awards and accolades that we've received, we've been a finalist for the Pinnacle Award for the past 3 years. We are a certified SAP partner as well. And with that being said, we're gonna jump right into our first poll question. And our first poll question is, do you have a project you need assistance with? And what this does is this helps us understand your needs a little better. So if you could please take the time and answer this, it would be great. And this way we can, if it is something that you need assistance with, we'll reach out to you sometime early next week and see what we can do to assist with that. But again, it's one of those things where if you're not sure, it's okay too. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the poll question here. And then we're going to go ahead and share the results, just so that you have an idea of what those results are. Give me 1 second here. Okay, great. So as you can see, 15% yes, 54 no, 31 not sure. Fantastic. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Larry. Larry's going to go ahead and get started for us and jump right in and start with our presentation.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Let me, not sure, I think maybe I need to change the screen here. I want to get it on my second monitor. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, Larry, you're good to go.
Yeah, thanks, Tony, and good afternoon, good morning for those people who are attending today. And as Tony mentioned, 2 weeks ago, on a Friday 2 weeks ago, we went through Test Suite overview. And so for you folks that may have been in that recent webinar, there may be a little bit of a refresh for you. And for those who weren't, this will be good information for you. So here's the big deal. Things have really changed for Solution Manager 7.2. Before 7.1, way back a long time ago, Solution Manager's been here for quite some time. But there's been issues or architecture. It started out really being mainly for business blueprint, building the business blueprint for implementations, and it was really good for that, getting all the requirements and to BPPs, BPRs, BPDs, tech specs, and detailed design documents. So that's really the big part of it. For an implementation, played a big role. But the architecture being mainly for a document management system, it didn't lead itself to all the things all the changes and the integration that SAP customers wanted, and things that were requested over time, things like a better user interface, easier navigation. So 7.1 started adding some things. One of the things from automation was CVTA, and the two items that we're going to talk about today, scope and effort analyzer and change impact analysis, were added, and you'll see why, because of pain points, testing. There's a big part of any upgrade, especially, there's a lot of testing that's required, so there's a lot of cost involved. There's questions of efficiency and quality, so testing is a big part of an upgrade. But the testing part of SAP Solution Manager wasn't really quite the best product over the years. Most SAP customers liked Quality Center, and I did too. I was in '99, my first SAP project. I really, began using Quality Center and Mercury Interactive Tools, and then many customers, testing people, really like it. It was in the Magic Quadrant as the top tool. But again, one of the limitations that Solution Manager had was the architecture. So Solution Manager, SAP invested a lot of time and cost in bringing 7.2 up to being a tool that can compete some with other test management tools. And but it includes a lot more than just the test management. Test Suite's what we're going to talk about, but it's now it's on SAP HANA, and it also there's new methodologies and agile development. It's cloud and hybrid. So SAP overall has really made a big change. So and those changes are going to impact the test suite, and among those really are dashboards. So now it's the Fiori user interface, SAP UI5, It's the new user interface for HANA applications also. So it's addresses the pain point that we all had before. Is you had to click on a lot of icons, a lot of buttons, a lot of navigation, and it made SAP Solution Manager a little bit more not more complex than it needs to be. So this helps simplify Solution Manager and, of course, Test Suite, which is a big part of it. So 7.2 upgrade. So we talk a lot about upgrades. So two different types of upgrades. One of them, of course, is your enhancement pack upgrades, and we'll talk a lot about that as we go through this, because that's what change impact analysis is all about. But there's also the Solution Manager 7.2 upgrade from 7.1, and you can see a lot of the items on here. There's new functionality, process management, which includes BPM modeling tools, compliant tools for BPM 2.0, release management, project manager. So for IT, this really is the full end-to-end integrated tool for managing projects and programs and creating process models, and also testing and release management. Latest technology, it can 7.2 can run on HANA database. It's part of the license. No extra cost involved. And it may be that you want to go to 7.2 to build up experience in running HANA. And the Fiori, you just saw that. That's a big deal. Makes it easier to use and more intuitive. And then by upgrading, you begin to get the mainstream maintenance continues after that with notes. So here's the timeline. Solution Manager 7.2 started out in 2015 and ramp up last year. Now 7.2 is up to release 4, maybe 5 is coming out shortly. And it's ready for customers to begin using. The 7.1 goes out of support at the end of this year. So that's the high-level picture. Solution Manager 7.2 is better overall, but for testing, there's also a lot of changes and improvements, and just that are included with 7.2. So as you can see, SAP now says this is a full-blown application for manual and automated testing, change impact analysis, the test management part. Prior to, there's a lot of changes that need to be made to the test management. It used to be called Test Workbench, and in our previous webinar 2 weeks ago, we went through a lot of that to show those functions. So SAP says now that it's a default test suite for all SAP customers. Single source of truth, that really means for testing, we talk a lot of time about single line of sight all the way from requirements to through all the test cycles, defect management, and reporting. So it's you can trace requirements all the way through, see that the requirements are tested and they passed and failed. Defects management, the defects are managed so that you don't, they're either corrected or decided that they can be handled after implementation. And the integration, a lot of integration within Test Suite also. And I'll go to that part now. And so Solution Manager. So I mentioned requirements. So solution documentation is really requirements, meaning that's where BPP, business process procedures, or business process documents, requirements document, BPR, business process requirements, tech specs, configuration docs. They're all included in the solution documentation. And 7.2, we looked at that some at a high level in the previous webinar. Mainly for what we're doing with testing, though, there's executable library, process step library, and then the business processes. So they're tied into, in our previous webinar, we went through test cases and test planning, test execution, and analytics. Today we're going to cover change impact analysis. So what this is all about is, after your implementation, you've got the test cases that were written for the implementation, and they may or may not have been maintained. Sometimes they have to be changed. But typically what you see is that as you become, or you're running SAP production support, you may have a lot of different versions of the same test case, because what happens is you have a project. So you have small projects, large projects, enhancements, support packs, HR updates, payroll updates. So there's a lot of different projects that may come along over time after the implementation. And typically there ends up being a lot of different versions of the same test case. And solution documentation helps with this. We covered that before. It has different branches, and you can have multiple versions of the same test case. For example, for a production support fix that needs to be made, maybe that test case needs to be run, but at the same time, there may be a project going on for an enhancement pack. And as the migration path, as transports go into production, also test cases and documents will go in at the same time. So the big issue with test cases is when you get an enhancement pack, it's huge, and so it takes a lot of time and effort to be able to go in and find out what needs to be tested. So what's going to be in scope? There's a lot of things in an enhancement pack. Have to figure out what your impact is. So that's what Scope and Effort Analyzer is about. And so that happens before you can actually do an enhancement. Once you begin doing an enhancement, or if you're doing minor fixes against just a few transports, or maybe have weekly and monthly releases, you would use BPCA. So these are tied together, but the difference is Scope and Effort Analyzer is you don't really have transports or any of that in your system, and you need to look at it to do the planning. So moving on to the next one. Again, this is kind of a background test suite and HPLM. SAP, again, has had the partnership with HP, and HPLM is a great product. SAP, though, has, as part of 7.2, now that they have a full test suite, there's a couple of products that are no longer going to be in the portfolio. So SAP Tau and the adapter, which has the integration from Solution Manager to HPALM, they're going to be sunsetted. And so existing customers, though, are okay. That has licenses they can download for SAP or for 7.2. So you're okay there. I think over the if you're looking at the longer term, though, I think when you look at this, you would be what you would see is that it's going to probably be more SAP Test Suite, and the support for those tools would be going away. Just to back up a little bit, in case there are people that didn't see this before or in our previous webinar, that there is a test automation framework, and in our webinar in 2 weeks we'll talk about CBTA. So CBTA is it really evolved from TAO. So TAO was in HPALM. CBTA is pretty much the same tool, but a lot of improvements, and it's part of Solution Manager. So if you read here, CBTA is for SAP GUI, WebDen Pro ABAP, CRM Web UI, the UI5 and Fiori. However, UFT and Worksoft certify and other third-party tools or partner tools for non-SAP. So when we talk about SAP and non-SAP from an automation perspective, that's how that works out. So I'm going to move on now to change impact analysis. Scope and effort analyzer. So we say change impact analysis. Again, scope and effort analyzers before an upgrade. And now we're going to have another poll question, and Tony will take care of that.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, so the next poll question, do you currently use BPCA or SEA for upgrade planning of test scope? I'll give everybody a little bit of time here to answer that. Again, the question is, do you currently use BPCA or SEA for upgrade planning of test scope? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the poll. I'm going to go ahead and share the results here so you can see what the results are. And as you can see, 6% use it, 88 do not, and 6 are, looks like, more than likely unsure. So with that being said, Larry, why don't you go ahead and continue?
Okay, thanks, Tony. So yeah, getting into scope and effort analyzers. So here's what the main challenges are for customers. So this was feedback from customers to SAP about upgrades. So over the years after implementation, an upgrade became pretty expensive a lot of times. There was a lot of cost involved. And as you can see, these were the pain points: cost and effort estimation. And these are the pain points that customers ask SAP to address, and they addressed it with scope and effort analyzers. So during the planning, there was cost and effort needed. And that was a big pain point. During the building phase, the modification changes, the changes that had to be made, those were pain points. And as you can see, testing always comes up pretty big with the not only efficient testing, but the cost of testing. So as you can see, the issues before scope and effort analyzer, or even if you don't have it now, most times you have to do sandbox upgrade, meaning that you have to take a look at it to figure out what the scope is, what the project timeline is, what the test scope is, what test cases you need, how much time is it going to take to repair those. And then the other part was setup efforts that were required. So scope and effort analyzer with 7.2, again, a little bit more information here, identifies custom code and modification objects and estimates what the adjustment effort is. You don't have to have a sandbox or put it in dev. and it calculates the test or finds the test scope and optimizes the effort. So there is a change. So I mentioned before, this is not, change impact analysis is not new to 7.2. It started, it was first introduced in 7.1. So in 7.2 now, for those 8% who are using it, there's a replacement of the maintenance optimizer with a cloud-based maintenance planner. So kind of go in that a little bit more. So how does that happen? So in Solution Manager, you go in and to the system. So your managed system, your ECC system or SRM system, you connect into that system and you enter in what the target support pack is. So if you're going from 7 to 8, you would enter in the target of 8, and then you send that information to SAP. SAP calculates the technical bill of materials, and we'll talk about that a little bit more for the enhancement pack. And then it sends the bill of materials back to Solution Manager. Solution Manager has usage statistics, and it does impact analysis. So this is what Scope and Effort Analyzer is doing within Solution Manager. Calculates the effort, generates a blueprint, if you would, within Solution Manager, and it has test scope and effort optimization. So test scope optimization is also in BPCA, and what that is maybe you're going to find that a particular object's used in more than one place. That's pretty common. You know, if you think about test cases, you have transactions and end-to-end test cases multiple times. So test scope optimization helps you to only test those objects that have changed the fewest number of times within the end-to-end test case. And it provides recommendations, and then the customer team uses this information to do the test planning for what the changes are that would impact custom code and any configuration, and then comes up with a project plan. Scope and effort changes within 7.2. Again, as already mentioned before, in 7.1 there was a maintenance planner, but now maintenance optimizer, and it's replaced by maintenance planner in the cloud. All right, so here's the full process for Scope and Effort Analyzer. So project planning part inventories SAP objects, the component hierarchy, object types, it has information about estimated code. So we talked about that. So it's test scope optimization, test effort, distribution between manual and automated tests, and missing test cases. And during project prep, any missing test cases can be created. There's also you can reduce your custom development and modifications, things that may not be used or needed anymore, and identification of required developers for code adjustments. So that's part of the prep. Then the execution, custom CDMC, custom development management cockpit used for resolution for the custom developed objects. ABAP test cockpit analysis of code issues, and then BPCA. So this is where Scope and Effort Analyzer turns it into over to BPCA for optimization and test plan generation. And then test management, test case creation, test plan management, and test status report. I'm going to show you this in the demo. And Tony,
Okay, looks like
I'll
we've
throw it
come.
back to you for the next one. Yep.
Yep. It looks like our next poll question has popped up. So our next poll question is, do you currently use Live Compare or Panaya for upgrade planning of test scope? So do you currently use Live Compare or Panaya for upgrade planning of test scope? I'll go ahead and give you a couple seconds here to get that answered. And we're going to close the poll this time. And let's go ahead and show those results real quick. 17% yes, 72 no, 11% unsure. It's all yours, Larry.
Okay, thanks, Tony. So now we're going into BPCA. So BPCA is Business Process Change Analyzer. So this is what you use after an enhancement pack or just on normal business that you're doing, minor changes, custom code changes, and again, similar. It's very similar to Scope and Effort Analyzer. So I won't go through this in a lot of detail. It identifies a business processes, has test scope optimization for risk-based testing, and BPCA. So when you have transport, support pack, enhancement packs, just any transports, you can run BPCA and it will identify the impacted business processes and the business process steps, and then the test scope optimization. So just real quickly, changes with 7.2, semi-dynamic T-bombs now uses ABAP call monitor, which is also used with UPL. There's some new attributes in there, and there's ways the flag helps you to in the test results, and then change pace. So 7.2 there's begins to talk about different methodology and processes, but here's the fix. Those are just break fixes. They're small changes, and they happen maybe daily or monthly. Enhancements, minor releases, maybe weeks or months. Small functional enhancements requested by business users, and then innovate would be like the enhancement pack. So BPCA, for all of these, it's really going against the transports to find out the information. So prerequisites, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but you can see from this slide that there's a solution documentation that is the starting point. From the production system, there's UPL, and now the ABAP call monitor transaction SCMON now. So that data that's captured is captured in 7.2, and then it's used for creating semi-dynamic T-bombs. Dynamic T-bombs are when you are either by CBTA generation or by manually walking through the steps. And again, data flow. T-bombs are a big part of change impact analysis. So the way this works within the managed system, within the production, the data is transferred over, and it goes into Solution Manager, BW, CCLM cubes, and then semi-dynamic T-bombs are generated. So there's three types of T-bombs. One of them is dynamic T-bomb, and this is the preferred. It's very precise. Semi-dynamic T-bombs, which are moderate to good. So those are created by the call monitor, and then static T-bombs. SAP is not recommending those, and those may be generated when semi-dynamic can't be generated. These are semi-dynamic can be generated by batch jobs. And again, ABAP call monitor, this is the big news here for those who are familiar with it. So UPL is now going to be SC Mon to generate semi-dynamic T-bombs. And the reason for it is because it adds some more precision to it. So there may be some code branches in UPL that are not picked up, but within ABAP call monitor, dynamic calls to other objects are included, but were not included in UPL. So again, ABAP call monitor available SPO3. There's certain managed system requirements, and then those change with SPO5. Test scope optimization, again, that's to reduce testing the same process again in multiple end-to-end scripts. So this is the way it's set up, so that sometimes you have a process step. This is really the only thing that is impacted, but in order to run that, you need to run an end-to-end test. So test scope optimization, you set it up to select the best end-to-end test for the processes. And this is what test scope optimization looks like. So I'm going to skip over real quickly here to show you. This is test suite. So again, for those who may not have seen this in our previous webinar, this is how Fiori looks. It's run by the dashboard. So Work Center is similar to 7.1. Within on the menu bar on the left side, there's a selection. So I'm going to go to Scope and Effort Analyzer and show you real quickly here what Scope and Analyzer analysis. This is what's used by project managers and the test manager to plan an enhancement pack. So again, it takes an enhancement pack, compares it against production. So you're going, your production's EHP 7, you're going to go to EHP 8. So it's going to compare those two, create a bill of materials. It's going to tell you what adjustments need to be made. It's going to tell you what modifications and custom changes need to be made. Again, adjustments required, proposed. In test management, it's going to tell you what test cases are needed. And the scope and effort part of it is, again, to be able to tell if you select your most critical business processes, and then there may be some that are not as critical. If you don't test those, then you may save a lot of time and be able to get it done within the 2 weeks that you'll be given. So this shows you within Scope and Effort Analyzer all the updated SAP objects from the enhancement pack. This one was for EHP 7. So the next part is Business Process Change Analyzer. And I'm not going to go through how you set this up, but you can see support packs, transports, just objects. You can do impact analysis against nodes. And when you're done, what you end up with is a results report. So it takes, depending on how many objects you have and how many business processes, test cases, you set this up to run usually overnight, and the end result is for testing for our focus today, which is testing, test suite. It tells you what business processes within the hierarchy need to be tested based on running transports or an enhancement. In this case, this was an enhancement pack, sort of an abbreviated one that we did. It says these are the objects, and then these are the processes that are impacted. There are test cases that are involved with each one of these. And just to, so you understand what the benefits are within the test suite. What happens, you can create a test plan from this. And for those who saw what a test plan was in a previous webinar, you'll understand that. For those who didn't, I'll swing back around real quickly in just a minute. So the other part that you want to, what's the benefit of it is your testing. So it's going to identify the testing. And what does this mean? This means you don't have to do too much testing. You don't want to miss things. So you have rankings and have test case recommendations. And again, you can change those to based on risk. Maybe there's, after you do critical processes, maybe you want to, so kind of give you an idea, if you did 100% testing, 100% testing, it's going to be 14 and a half hours just in this example that we have. But if you do less than, you can cut it way down. So 82%, 98% coverage, you could cut it from 14 to 8. So that's just an example how this works. And finally, I've already done this where I created a test plan, or you can extend to an existing test plan. So test plan is set up, and you can really see it best in a tester work list. And the tester work list is set up here for BPCA 17. So you can see that we have test cases and we're ready to run. So we clicked in BPCA create test plan. We set that test plan up and assign it to a tester, and now you're ready to run the test that were for that enhancement pack. So that's how it works. I'm gonna move back over to the slides here, and real quickly, again, what's the value to it is you're identifying the critical processes by change events, enhancement packs, support packs, just releases, and so it allows you for better planning, better management decisions, and then the test scope optimization. You see how that can reduce. If you say I don't have 6 weeks to do the testing, what can I get done in 2 weeks? And you can see what the risk is based on that. So overall, that was for the value proposition for change impact analysis for test suite overall. Again, it's a whole different product than it was in 7.1 test suite, but includes more integration with change and release and portfolio and project management, change and impact analysis with BPCA and C, or those are improvements that are being made, and a lot of the changes now that may be requested for those are easier to do with the new architecture, risk-based testing. Test Suite and Solution Manager 7.2 are built to support S/4HANA, and so improved testing. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about the state-of-the-art automation and how that fits in with change and impact analysis and repairing test cases. So now I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tony, for the final poll question and for our Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. So our final poll question of the afternoon is, would you like a company-specific demo? Obviously, Larry did his best to go through and cover as much as he can, but it's a lot better if we can get some input from you and provide you a demonstration specific to your business needs. So again, our question, would you like a company-specific demo? And it doesn't necessarily need to be along the lines of Test Suite. It could be Charm. It could be Solution Manager as a whole. It could be our LAM practices, HANA, whatever it might be. Is there any specific demo we can do for you directly? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the polls at this time. And again, according to it, 30% would like it, 70% say no, which is great. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We understand your time is very valuable, and we do take that into consideration when we do plan and prepare for our webinar series. So some of the next steps and upcoming events with regard to today's webinar. As Larry said, there's no data replication of third-party repositories required. Test Suite for SAP Solution Manager provides all required applications for the functional testing of business processes enabled by SAP. And it's a single source of truth. And I'm sure you've heard that over and over again. Our upcoming webinars to finalize this series is going to be on the 14th of April. That will include test automation. And again, that will also include a demonstration. And for those of you who will be attending Sapphire, we will be at Sapphire the week of May 16th through the 18th. So if you're going to be there, please let us know. We'd like to spend some time with you and see what we can do with you when we're out there. Some next steps. So obviously the company-specific demonstration, we asked about that. So it allows us to do a deeper dive into the software and its benefits. With that, we can do a 1-hour assessment. We can sit down with you, understand your current changes, review the project plan, and let you know where the value proposition is behind everything. And then let you know what our Jumpstart packages are based on what your needs are. So we do offer Jumpstart packages not only for Test Suite, but for other things within our system as well. We're going to open it up to some questions at this time. So give me 1 second. Let me gather some of these questions here. And again, if we don't get the time to get to your question, we will send an email out to you regarding the questions. This way, your questions will get answered no matter what. So the first question comes from Sarah, and it says, when does a static T-bomb generated, and why is it not recommended for use by SAP?
That's a good question, and yeah, we kind of went through that real quick. So static T-bombs, the way it works, BPCA has a utility, and the utility runs against UPL and SCMON, and to generate T-bombs. If the data is not there from UPL or SCMON to generate a T-bomb for maybe a transaction or a URL that you have, what's going to happen? It'll create a static T-bomb. So a static T-bomb, you just try to find those. It's not recommended because it doesn't capture objects from dynamic calls or user exits, and it's not very precise and higher risk. But sometimes maybe you might want to run that if you have time constraints and they're non-critical business processes.
Okay, thank you, Larry. The next question comes from Carl, and the question is, how are test cases selected by BPCA and TSO for results reports?
Okay, so again, yeah, we covered sort of this a little bit more in the previous webinar. The test cases are assigned as part of the solution documentation. So when you set up the hierarchy structure, you set up, for example, a transaction VA01, and then you would have a test case for whatever process, business process that you're doing for that VA01, creating a sales order. And so that's where it's selected. You have those test cases set up in the hierarchy, and when you run BPCA and SCA, it's going to first go and find that transaction's T-bombs, and then it's going to find the associated test case with it.
Thank you, Larry. The next question is from Oliver. Oliver asks, does SEA include custom code analysis?
Yes, it includes not only the list of modifications from SPAU and SPDD, it has custom developed objects that are part of an upgrade.
Okay, great. The next question is from Dennis. What will be the best tool to identify business processes affected by EHP or SPS upgrade?
The best tool for a combination of, so it's not really either or. So for upgrades or support pack upgrades, you would first start with Scope and Effort Analyzer, because you don't have the enhancement pack unless you put it in a sandbox or dev. So you would use Scope and Effort Analyzer to do it before you actually have the enhancement pack. Then you do all your planning, you install the enhancement pack in your system then and dev, when you know you can fit it into your overall timeline for that project when it fits with other projects. So you say, okay, now I'm going to do EHP8. So you download EHP8, put it in dev or sandbox, and then you would begin using BPCA. So you'd use both tools to go through an enhancement pack or support pack upgrade.
Perfect. Thank you, Larry. And this will be our final question. And then any other, like I said, any questions that we didn't get the opportunity to get to, we will answer them and get those back to you. Larry, the final question comes from Clinton. Could you clarify if this is a licensed product or is it included with your Solution Manager license?
It's not a separate license. It's included in enterprise and above support. Was there a follow-up to that, or?
Larry, you cut off. Can you answer that question one more time?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it's part of enterprise or max attention support. It's part of that agreement. So it's not a separate license.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. We will be concluding our webinar series on the 14th of April. We hope everybody can join us at that time. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and from all of us at Core ELM, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody.